Hey guys, Ezra here. Welcome back to another movie review. And today we are going to be reviewing Squid Game, the first season of Squid Game. I think it will be interesting for me to do like a retrospective review of the series. Because this was released 3 years ago, and I think on this video I will be reviewing each of the episodes. And give my own opinions. Which one is the best one, and which one is the worst one. And yeah, I would say back in 2021, obviously Squid Game is exploding, and at the time I have no idea what this series is all about, That's where I found out that this is actually about, a bunch of players participating in a childhood game, especially in Korea. And if they fail the game, then obviously they get killed, So I think that's an interesting premise, I think there is some other show or series that has done this before, but I don't think Squid Game makes this a really popular thing, and now we're getting season 2 and season 3 in 2025, so that's good, yeah, let's get to the reviewing of each episode, shall we, let's start with the first episode here called Red Light, Green Light, and yeah, I think this episode is a good pilot episode, because we got to introduce to Song Gi-hun, which is the main character, played by Lee Jung-jae, and he basically is a gambling addict, and he has enormous debts with the loan sharks, and then he also become estranged with his daughter and ex-wife, and because of his this debts that Song Ki-hoon has, he was approached in the station by like a businessman, I think, which is played by Gong Yo, which is you may know him from the Train to Busan movie. That's where I know Gong Yo were, and he also previously worked together with the creator of the show, which is Hwangdonghyuk, in the movie called called Silence, I think, which is a really dark movie, but yeah, I do like the scene enough, because I think it's pretty funny where they just like playing Dakji, I think, and then they keep slapping, like the businessman just keeps slapping Gihan every single time, and to the point that Gihan was like, okay, I win now finally, and then like he just prepared to slap the businessman instead of like forgetting the money that he won, which I think that's pretty funny, and I also love the music as well, I think the music is just great in Squid Game, which is composed by Jungjae, which like the Squid Game theme sounds like a drunk jingle bell, to be honest, but it's kind of funny, because like it does feature its own theme later on, and yeah, it's a good introduction to the show, and that's where the businessman offered Gihan the Squid Game card, asking him to join the game, if he wants to. So Gihan decided to join the game, but first he was approached by a detective, and this detective actually had a missing brother, and that's why he looking for Gihan and searching for clues where his brother was, But Gihan obviously doesn't can't exactly help the police officer, And yeah, after that we get to see the game, because in the game, I think it's a great introduction to the Squid Game. I guess set, you could say that, where Gihan wakes up in a bed, with a bunch of other players, and it's like, yeah, it's such a good introduction as well, and I think we see other characters as well, like his childhood friend named Cho Sang-woo, played by Parkhaesoo, and then Kang Se-byuk, I think, played by Junghoyeon, and yeah, and of course the old man Oh Il Nam, played by Oh Song Soo, like all of these are great characters, and also Ali Abdul, played by Anuman Tripathi, like every single character in this movie, sorry, not movie, series, are great, I think they make a great group of friends, for the Squid Game, and yeah, we finally get to see the iconic first game, which is Red Light, Green Light, where we see this giant doll, which is like becoming so iconic now, and yeah, basically if you actually move when the doors are looking, then you are killed, and there is this great scene where where a bunch of players fails, and then like a bunch of them are getting killed, and I think it does create like a good sense of tension between other players as well, as Gian like trying to survive to finish the game, to the point that Ali is like trying to help him, and I think these first episodes are really solid, because like it's a great pilot episodes, that got you introduced to Squid Game, that how the stakes now, and of course the show managed to build the suspense and tension throughout this first game, to the point that it does becomes iconic, and we're gonna see that game again in season 2, so that's great, but yeah, this episode 1, guys, it's a great pilot episode, and I think it's a great introduction to the Squid Game franchise, or universe, and yeah, and after this we move on to episode 2, which is called Hell. And this episode is also really amazing, because in the first episode, we just get introduced to our main characters and also other characters as well. But the second episode, this is where we learn more about the other characters as well, and I think it's a great episode, man, because I think in the first couple of minutes on this episode, like a twist happened, because I thought that when they enter Squid Game, obviously the show is not gonna leave Squid Game, because like they're in the show now. Obviously they're not gonna exit until the final episode, but man, how wrong I was, because in the Squid Game universe, there is this rule that if majority of the players decide to quit, then obviously the game will be cancelled, and because of democracy, obviously. And then unexpectedly, they actually managed to cancel the game, and they actually get out of the game. And I was like, damn, I think it's the first kind of show that actually did that, where it's like once you enter the arena, sometimes you never get out of that set location, until the finale, obviously, but no, Squid Game was like, no, like all the other characters actually manages to get out, because of democracy, and because of that, I think that's a good twist, because I did not see that coming. And of course we get to learn more about the characters, and I think it's just really depressing and sad, with each and every characters are going through here, like other characters like Cho Sung has been doing, and of course Ali Abdul, Kang Se-byuk as well, and yeah, I think all of these flashback are, in my opinion, are really not flashback, but I guess like this scene that get us introduced more to the characters are really, really great, because now we know why they decided to join Squid Game, because like even after what they saw in the first episode, naturally you're not gonna come back to those games, but I think Hwangdonghyuk does a great job that the players actually exit the game in episode 2, and then you get to learn more about their personal life, and that gives them more reason, to came back to Squid Game, because they need the money, and obviously their life is hell, has the title of the episodes, like the hell is not exactly from Squid Game, but it's actually from their real life, and I think that's just fantastic, especially if you are someone with having a huge amount of debt, then yeah, I know how that feel, and I think it's just like, yeah, it's just really depressing and stressful, and you probably can relate to every characters here, so I think that's really, really great, because the characters are expanded, and now you care more about them, you understand why they decide to join Squid Game in the first place, and now we get another strong reason for them to came back to the game, and I also love the music as well, that plays when all the characters are entering the van. Like, I just love that a lot, I think Junghoyeon again does a great job with the music, I think it's just fantastic, but yeah, after this we move on to episode 3, which is called The Man with the Umbrella, and so the episode starts with the detective named Junho, where he managed to infiltrate the games, because again he's searching for his brother, and he believes that his brother might be joining this mysterious Squid Game, because I think he found the card in his brother's apartment, and that's how he was able to connect that to Gi-hun, and now he was infiltrating the game by posing himself as the mass worker, and I forgot to mention the mass worker as well. I think they are fantastic, like I love the costume design as well, and there is like 3 type of mask, like the circle, the triangle, and the square, which is the managers, right? And I think, yeah, the costume and the set design in this series are absolutely fantastic, and I love them a lot, yeah, anyway, continuing with episode 3 here, we see our players basically forming an alliance, like Gi-hun, Sang-woo, player 1, which is Oh Il-nam, and then Ali Abdul as well, where they basically team up to prepare themselves for the next game, which is like a dalgona or honeycomb candy, which I think called pongi or something like that. I meant mispronounce that. I'm sorry, but basically the game was like, under 10 minutes limits, they have to like cut the shapes of the dalgona. There is like the circle, the triangle, and the star, and obviously the hardest ones is umbrella, and Gi-hun, our main character, actually picked umbrella, because like apparently he lost his umbrella a lot when he was a kid, and he decided to choose that based on nostalgia, and man, it was a huge mistake, because it was the hardest one to carve, so I think that's, man. And again, I absolutely love how the show again built tension, where they cut away the music and you just hear every single player just like trying to do their best to carve off the shape of the dalgona, and then we see the consequences for what happened if you fail, because the mass soldier will kill you, because if you fail to cut the shape properly, and obviously Sangwoo here, I think he decided to kind of betray Gihan, because like, he doesn't tell Gihan that this game is actually easier if you pick a triangle shape, which is what he was picking in the game itself, but he chooses not to tell Gihan or anybody on his team, because I think, well, Sangwoo has his own belief, which we're gonna talk about that later, but this is like the earliest one we see what Sangwoo believe in. And yeah, this eventually this scene leads to like one of the most funniest scene ever, where again the music is great. It feels so like childish, like it fits so well to the scene, where Gihan basically keep licking the dalgona candy because he realized, by licking the dalgona candy he's able to melt it, and then obviously the other players decide to do the same thing, and then you get to see this funny reaction where like the guard was like looking at the camera and was like, what the hell is happening here, and yeah, it fits so well with the music, and then eventually Gihan was able to carve the umbrella shape, just in time, so he's able to survive the game. But there is this other player that fails, and then he decided to attack the staff member of Squid Game, and then he's able to unmask one of them, and apparently one of the guards or I guess like the managers in this section are actually still a young kid, and it seems like, yeah, and then the player decided to shoot himself, and the frontman decided to came down and then like shoot the guy as well, because apparently the rules of the game is that if you have your face revealed, then you're dead, that's the rules, that's why they are wearing masks, and all these masked soldiers as well have like their own set of rules, and we learned this thanks to the detective character named Junho, and also there's this new the leader called Frontman. I forgot to mention him in the first episode, but yeah, the leader of the Squid Game is called Frontman, so, and he has like a Doctor Doom mask, kinda, which I think it's a cool mask, I like that a lot, but yeah, that's the end of episode 3 now, and obviously in episode 4 we get to see like the players decide to continue the game themselves, where they are playing this next game, where they have to find a group of 10, because they are playing Tug of War, a show managed to build some suspense here, which I think if you stop the show and just think for a moment, like all the main characters are actually in the same team. So obviously they're not gonna die, because like, there's several episodes left, but I feel like this show does a good job to build the tension to the point that I actually feel intense, at the moment I'm watching the show, which I think they are really well executed the scene itself, but if you pause the scene for a moment and think for a second, obviously the main characters are gonna win because they're all main characters, and they're not gonna kill all the main characters like halfway through the series, that will be like a really abrupt twist in my opinion, but obviously they don't do that, but I do think the scene managed to build some suspense as well, and they decided to follow Ilnam's advice, to how to win Tug of War, because Ilnam basically plays a bunch of these kids game before, and oh, I forgot to mention in episode 4 there is this like fight scene that happened in the dark, because like basically the players are named Dogsuk, which is like a gang leader, realized that, oh, if I kill a player, then obviously I could like win the Squid Game myself with my team, because it was legal to kill your own team, which is really messed up, but then again, the whole Squid Game is also messed up, because like they are using these players essentially as a horse, where they are there to be gambled by the VIPs, which we're gonna talk about that later. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the VIPs, guys, don't worry. But yeah, I forgot to mention that in episode 4 there's this fight scene that happens in the dark, there's a bunch of flashing lights, which I don't really like, because like I just don't like flashing light, I don't have like a seizure problem, no, but they are annoying to look at, sometimes, so yeah, that was quite kind of annoying, but at the same time, again, I do think the fight scene and then the way the characters trying to defend themselves again Dog Suit's group, I think it was good, because you can see the friendship of these Gihan groups, so I think that's really good to build the chemistry between the character, and knowing that they are there for each other to defend themselves against these other players, you know. So that's good, you know. And after that, we get to the taco war scenes, you know. But yeah, that was episode 4, guys. You know, sorry for not mentioning that earlier, you know. But yeah, let's move on to episode 5, you know, where after the cliffhanger, we see the Gihan team actually won the taco war scene because obviously after this we get to see another I guess we cut away from the game a little bit here in episode 5, you know, where it seems like we are focusing more on Detective Junho, you know, because like when everybody's playing a Squid Game, Junho here is playing Among Us, you know, and yeah, he's essentially gathering information about the game, you know, but now he's able to, I think he's like unfortunately get trapped into this like organ harvesting racket, you know, because one of the players are actually doctors and they were being held by the pink soldier, you know, who's also using this to make more money. So Junho reluctantly helped this organ harvesting mission, you know, and then he's able to get more information from one of the other pink soldier member, you know, and then we see player 111, which is the doctor, you know, where he basically kills some of the soldiers, you know, because he was panicking, and eventually this operation was discovered by frontman, you know, but apparently it seems like frontman already know about the information, maybe, you know, or this you know, organ harvesting mission, you know, and it seems like he doesn't really care. But we do get to see the frontman, you know, I guess like his view or like his belief, you know, where he thinks that Squid Game is actually fair for everybody, you know, which I think that's a, you know, kind of hypocritical, you know, in my opinion, you know, because like I don't think the Squid Game are fair, you know, and it's certainly a bad thing, you know, but like it's interesting that to know that he's actually thinking that, oh, like we're giving these players a bunch of chance, you know, because in the outside world their life is hell, you know. And it's like, yeah, I agree, but it's also like, dude, come on, dude, like you're not exactly the good guy here, you know. And obviously it was supposed to be like you know, a hypocrite, you know. I think the show are aware of that, you know. But yeah, I like that episode 5 is actually again showing us the other side of the game, you know, where we see like what the pink soldier has been doing, you know, or I guess like this side of the story, you know. And I think it's a good way for Junho to enter the front man's, you know, office, you know, and finding more information about the list of winners, you know. So we do know there's a bunch of winners in this game, you know, and I think it's like, yeah, I like it, you know, even though that we don't get to see the game, you know. But overall it's a really solid episode, you know. It's still intense, you know, and you know, I love it, and I love that we get to see the other side of the pink soldier for a little bit, you know. So and anyway, moving on to episode 6, you know. Episode 6 is called Gganbu, and this to me is the best episode, you know. It's probably the most emotional episode as well, you know, because in the fourth game the players are told to pair up together, you know, and then they think that, oh, we're gonna work in together as a team, you know, but it was revealed that they have to play against their partner in a marble game, you know, and whoever wins, then obviously they get to move on to the other game, and the losers are obviously are gonna get killed by the pink soldiers, you know. And it was such a heartbreaking stuff, you know, because first we get to see Sebyok and player 240 named Ji Young, I think, and they basically share their life stories, you know, where Sebyok was actually from the North Korea, you know, and trying to get some money to basically helping her mother to get to South Korea. And Jiyoung basically has nothing, you know, like she doesn't have any family. And I think the ending of the story are really emotional, you know, because like Jiyoung basically decided to sacrifice herself so Sebyok could live, you know. And like we all know what happens to Sebyok, you know, sure, but I think this moment are just really great, you know, because like Sebyok and Jiyoung actually get to know each other just for the span of 30 minutes, and they becomes besties in those 30 minutes, you know, thanks to the life story, you know. And it leads to the emotional moment where Jiyoung actually say thank you to Sebyok, you know, for, you know, playing with her, you know, to being his last best friends essentially, you know. So like that's a really sad moment, you know, because I did not expect that I will feel sad for these new characters, you know, because I think Ji Young was introduced in episode 4, and now in episode 6, you know, we get to see her character more. And I think it was really effective, you know, because I actually feel sad for her, you know. And it's just like it's really good, you know. And also we get to see Sangwoo and Ali as well, you know, and this really broke my heart as well, because Ali really trusts Sangwoo, you know, but obviously Sangwoo is, well, he wants, like, he basically decide he cares for himself and only for himself, because he thinks that that's how the Squid Game works, and then he has a point that obviously in this game you have to become the best, and then you have to only care for yourself, because if you care for everybody else, then obviously that's probably not gonna work, and that's why he decided to trick Ali, and I feel bad for Ali, because like he has a family and now he's never going to see his family again, and Ali basically really trusts Sang-woo, Ali thinks that Sang-woo is his best friend, his best partner, and now he gets, and then he gets betrayed in the end. Like, my god, dude, like, if like it hurts, man. It really really hurts, man. And besides that, we also have Gihan and player one, obviously Il-nam, where like, I think Gihan decided to exploit Il-nam's like dementia, and then it was revealed that apparently Il-nam was aware of like the deception the entire time, by Gihan, because obviously Gihan also wanted to win the game, he doesn't want to lose, and then he decided again to basically give the marble to Gihan, and it says that we are Gganbu, we are the trusted friend, and it's okay, Gihan, like you're allowed to win, like it's just so it's just so sad, and every single scene in this episode 6, I think, is just the best one for me, because I think they managed to build the character relationship really well, to the point that one of them has to go away, and then you just feel sad, like obviously I feel sad for Ji-young, and I feel sad for Ali, and I feel sad for Il-nam, even though, yeah, we all know that Il-nam is like, later on in episode 9, but still that moment still makes me feel sad, because the Gihan feels really guilty for letting this old man die, because of his like because he wants to win the game, and it's just like, man, it's just, yeah, it really hurts, and I'm just like, man, this is the best episode in Squid Game. I love it, this is like a 10 out of 10 episodes, so yeah, that was episode 6 called Gganbu, but after the best episodes came episode 7, and it's called VIPs. Oh boy, the VIPs, man. Anybody remember them? Which is like a bunch of weird NPC that got introduced in this show, because like their dialogue is so fucking awful, man. Holy shit, like, I get it, they're VIPs, they're like the rich guy, and they have this cool mask, but their dialogue is so horrendous, they don't feel like a human talking, it feels like a robot, like, or like an AI trying to imitate a human dialogue, that's how it feels like for me, and I was like, man, it's so bad, because it was so over the top. Like, I feel like I think hwangdonghyuk need to slow down, just step back for a moment and just like, I don't know, like, wrote the VIPs like a normal human characters, I don't know why every single character here feels like a human, and then the VIPs came in, I guess because they're so rich, they talk like robots, they were so over the top, and there is a 69 jokes, which is like, okay, like, it makes my eye roll, okay, sure, like, we're still making 69 jokes, sure, but yeah, it was bad, man. It's definitely the worst part about the show, and then it came after episode 6, man, which is like the peak of the show, and then episode 7 was like, hey, here's the VIP, like, about to ruin the show, again, the entire show is not ruined by them, but it came pretty close, where the VIPs are like the main complaints by everybody who watches Squid Game, and I know the whole point of like making it over the top, because these are like a rich and powerful people, that's how they talk, but I'm just like, dude, no, we don't actually need that in this show, so I'm really curious how they're gonna handle the VIPs in episode 2, hopefully Hwangdonghyuk actually learn from his lesson here and try not to make them so over the top, just make them human, just write a natural English dialogue for them, like, please, like, it was so bad, but anyway, after that out of the way, we are moving on to the game now, which is a glass bridge game, and I think this is also my favorite game, is Squid Game, I think I don't think this is like based on like an actual kids game maybe, but it was a visually this is like the coolest one so far, and it's like, yeah, I absolutely love the idea that you have to pick one of the glass bridge, where you have to pick one of them. One of them is right, and one of them actually breaks, so obviously if it breaks, then you fall down to your death, and yeah, I love this visually, and I think this show does build the tension really well with the other players as well, because obviously the other players are basically fighting for each other, where it's like, hey, you need to move forward, but obviously the person that was in the front, obviously he doesn't know which glass to pick, and obviously there is a time limit, so like the player in the back basically keeps shouting to the front player. It's like, hey, you need to move, you need to pick a side, you need to pick like a bridge to go, because obviously time is running out, and that really creates like a good tension in the scene itself, and speaking of like other characters here named Doksu, which is like again the gang leader. Basically he he was killed in episode 7, which I think is in a great way, because like this one character named Mi Nyo, which I think she appears in the last previous episodes, and then she decided to kill Dong Suk, because like Dong Suk basically betrayed her in the previous episodes, and I think it's just like, yeah, that's a cool way to kill like the villain in the players, so I think that's really cool, but yeah, after this we get to see the other 3 players, like Song Gi-hun, Cho Sang-woo, and Kang Se-byuk, and then player 17, which is like a seasoned glass worker. He is able to tell which panels are safe and which panel are not safe, and this is where I think, in my opinion, is where it shows that the Squid Game are not fair, because I think the VIPs are what really matter here, because they are the guests, and yeah, the frontman decided to turn off the lights, which I think that's pretty unfair, man. I know this is their game, but I feel like that's really unfair that they decided to, hey, let's just turn this off, because like that is because this guy is so good for like picking which glass are the best one to step, so I think, yeah, that was really a hypocrite move by the frontman, so I think, again, I think the comment in the previous episodes and comparing to this moment, I think it was supposed to show that, yeah, it was like a bunch of hypocrites takes, because obviously the Squid Game are not fair, to begin with. But anyway, back to the game. Sang-woo decided to push player 17 to his death, and yeah, basically Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Se-byuk completed the game, so now they are the last surviving 3 players, and that's the end of the episodes, so yeah, I think this is probably the weakest episodes, because of the VIPs, like it was so weird, because everything in the show has been so great, and then like these VIPs just came in, and then they have like the weirdest over the top dialogue, that doesn't really work for me, I know they were supposed to be funny, but man, I just wish they just shut up, for a moment, and I think the game is still really cool, like the glass bridge is like visually is really cool, and again, I like the tension between the players, so I think there is something that I like from episode 7, something that's really cool, but anyway, moving on to episode 8, which is called Frontman, and this is the shortest episode in the series, where we see Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Se-byuk decide to to eat some steak, because like they're the last 3 players, so they were giving like a luxury dinner by the Squid Game staff, and meanwhile, we get to see Detective Junho decide to try to basically give the evidence to the captain, in South Korea, and then I don't think he managed to send any evidence to the captain, because there is no signal, so obviously he was founded by the frontman and the guards, and then it was revealed that the frontman was actually Junho's brother, so he becomes the frontman. So I think the brothers In-hon, that his name, played by Byung-hun Lee, which is like I did not expect that. Essentially, he was part of the player, and then he decided to join the Squid Game manager, I think, and then he becomes the frontman, which is basically the one who leads this entire game, or I guess like managing this entire game, so I'm really curious to see about more of his backstory in season 2, because I think we're gonna get more of the frontman backstory, and then maybe we get to see why he becomes the frontman, and then yeah, like the whole system of Squid Game, I think there's a lot more that had yet to be revealed, so I think that was like exciting for that to be explored in season 2, so yeah, after this, basically, In-ho decided to shoot Junho in the shoulder, and then he basically fall back to the cliff, and into the sea. And then we found out that, well, Junho actually survived, because he came back in season 2. So that's good, because I love the detective character, and then I want to see his storyline actually continues, because I think it will be much more disappointing if Junho just like died there, because I think it makes his whole character just like super pointless, and some people might think that, when season 1 was released, and I inclined to agree there, but now since we have season 2, I am curious to see how Junho's storyline is going to continue in the second season, and yeah, and back to the game, we get to see Gihan, Sebyok, and Sangwoo. Basically, there is a tension building between Gihan, Sebyok, and Sangwoo, because like Sangwoo is basically becoming much more hostile towards Gihan and Sebyok, because like obviously he believes that it was survival for the fittest, so I think he decided to kill Sabyok, sadly, because I think Sabyok is a really good character, and I really wish that she actually won, to be honest, because I think her character is just so good in my opinion, and I feel like it was it was sad to see to see her go like that, but obviously Sabyok was actually got injured by the last game, and then obviously Sangwoo decided to kill her anyway. And it's really sad to see Sabyok go, because I really want her to win, to be honest, because I think Sabyok has a reason to win the money. I mean, Gihan also has a reason to win the money, but I feel like Sabyok is a much more family reason, I know that Gihan also has a mother and also has a daughter, but I feel like I want Gihan and Sabyok to basically make it out together, I don't know if you can do that in Squid Game, because I feel like the winner is only gonna be one person. But yeah, basically Sangwoo decided to kill Sabyok, so I think that's a really sad. It's really sad to see her go like that. I kind of wish that she actually stick around a bit longer, and then maybe winning the game, to be honest, But yeah, sadly she was killed, But moving on to the final episodes called One Lucky Day, we get to see Gihan and Sangwoo basically battle each other out in the Squid Game, So I think finally they are playing Squid Game, and then yeah, I also absolutely love how this final fight scene was filmed, because like you can tell like Gihan and Sangwoo was not exactly like a fighter, but I feel like the choreograph between the two of them are actually really fantastic, because again, I know I say this a lot, but the tension, you built the tension again in this fight, that I actually want Gihan to win, and obviously like I was like rooting for Gihan a lot, and I also feel really intense that if Sangwoo might win the game, and it's like, yeah, like I think the intense part of this scene are great, because like it was raining, it was dark, and then the choreography of the fight are actually really fantastic, because like it was pretty realistic, because like these two are not exactly a fighter, so obviously they're just gonna use their punching and kicking the best way possible, and I think like, yeah, eventually Gihan won the fight, but before he stepped in to finish the Squid Game, he decided to, hey, like asking Sangwoo to basically, let's both of us return home, because obviously based on the Squid Game rules, if majority of the players agree to quit the game, then they could quit the game, So obviously he asked Sangwoo to, let's quit the game together, because you are my best friends, they're like his childhood friend, and Sangwoo decided to apologize to Gihan and decided to kill himself instead, and Gihan, because of this, Gihan won the money, and then the Squid Game is concluded, and after this, we get to see Gihan and the frontman, in the vent, in the car together, in the limousine, and this is where frontman said to Gihan that basically a bunch of these players are horses, because like obviously alluding to the fact that Gihan was actually basically a gambling addict, because he also bet in the horse race, so now he compares him to a horse, so now he becomes like the thing that were people were betting, from the VIPs, but Gihan basically received the 456 billion won, which I think is yeah, that's a lot of money to be honest, but yeah, he decided not to touch his prize money, because he has a man's guilt, essentially like a survivor guilt, and then he decided to not use his money until like a year later, until he received an invitation, from the Squid Game, obviously, and then it was revealed that it was like this message was actually delivered from his Gganbu, and then Gihan decided to go to this building, and then it was revealed that the mastermind of the game is actually Ilnam, the old man. So I think that's like, okay, it's a twist that I didn't really see coming, to be honest. I know that some people might see that coming, because obviously when they kill Ilnam in episode 6, you don't get to see the guards shoot Ilnam, and obviously you don't get to see his dead body, and most importantly, when Detective Ju-on actually when Detective Ju-hon actually see the police the list of the player, it was revealed that it was start on number 2, so like number 1, which is Ilnam, are not there on the list, so I think, yeah, they basically planting the seed for the twist, so but I did not see that coming, so that really surprised me, and then they decide to play one last game, because there is this homeless man in the ground. And then Ilnam said that until the 12 o'clock, if nobody decide to help this man, then obviously he won the game, but if anybody actually helped the homeless man there, then Gihan actually win the game. This is like their last game, because Ilnam are actually dying, in his deathbed. And Ilnam also reveals that he created the game because he was bored, of wealthy people like himself, so he chooses to basically he and his friends, his executive wealthy friends, decide to basically form the Squid Game together, and I was interested to. I hope the season 2 we get to see a bit more the history of Squid Game, because I am interested to see what the first Squid Game looked like, and how it eventually formed to this very day, and that was interesting for me, So hopefully season 2 and season 3 can actually explore the origin of Squid Game, because I was interested about that, and even though we get to hear like a little bit of the backstory here by Elnam, but I am curious to see if we're going to see a younger version of Ilnam, maybe in a flashback in season 2. That would be cool, to learn more about the origin of Squid Game, in my opinion. But yeah, Ilnam, basically the game was Gihan actually won the game here, because at the last moment we get to see like the man basically got help from the South Korean cop, from Seoul's police department, and then yeah, after this we get to see the Ilnam die, from his sickness, and then Frontman, I think Frontman took over the game now because Ilnam has passed away, and I think they're going to explore this leadership, this actual leadership in season 2, because in season 1, Frontman is like, yes, he's like managing the entire game, but he's not exactly the mastermind of the game. The mastermind is all Ilnam, and now since Ilnam is dead, so obviously Frontman becoming the mastermind of the game, so I think I am curious to see how that role will play for him in season 2, yeah, so basically Gihan decided to use his money finally, to help like Sebyeok's brother, and then obviously helping Sang-woo's mother, and then after a while he decided to basically reconnect with his daughter in Los Angeles, and then before he gets to the airport, he see this the same game recruiter, or like the businessman that we saw in the first episode played by Gongyu, playing Dakji with another desperate player, and eventually because of this, Gihan decided to take the card away from this like other player, or like this other guy, and then he decided to call Squid Game, and then he wants to basically telling them that he's not a horse, like you better stop what you're doing, because obviously this is not fair, this is bad, like obviously he felt really guilty for doing this Squid Game, because and Gihan become entirely a different person, so I think that's interesting, and the frontman decided to tell Gihan like get on that plane, because obviously your game is already finished, and then it was revealed that they've been watching him every single time, so I think obviously this Squid Game organization was really huge, because like they know like where the players are, and they're been monitoring this many amount of people, and I think that's just scary in my opinion, so because of this, Gihan decided to end the call and returns to the terminal, and he decided not to go to see his daughter, and I am curious to see how this is going to play out in the future, and I'm curious to see if we're going to revisit the relationship between Gihan and his daughter, like I'm curious about that, because obviously in season 2 we see Gihan getting back into the game and try to make out the basically win with as many people as possible, we get to see his best friend there, so I think that's great. I think his best friend appeared in episode 1, and now his best friend is gonna be the main character one of the main characters in season 2, so I think that's fantastic, but yeah, that's the end of the Squid Game, I think the ending itself is I guess interesting, I was like a bit I was like against it, because I was like I was wishing that Gihan to abort that plane and see his daughter again, because that was his entire motivation, but I understand why he decided not to do that, because obviously the Squid Game organization are going to keep monitoring him the entire time, and obviously he doesn't want for everybody to get killed because of their debt, because of their problem in life, so yeah, I really liked. So at the end of the day, I actually like the ending, and now I'm glad that we get to see season 2 and season 3, but yeah, that's my retrospective review or Squid Game, I think to to summary, I think episode 6 is still the best one, and episode 7 is the worst one, which is like, yeah, it goes from the best to the worst, which is like so funny to me. And the VIPs remaining is going to remain as the worst part of Squid Game. So I think the VIP is gonna come back in season 2, but hopefully Hwangdonghyuk actually are able to write them properly this time around and doesn't, fuck them up even further, So I'm wishing that was the case, because we'll see about that. And yeah, I'm hyped for Squid Game season 2, guys, So yeah, stay tuned for that in December 26th, So guys, let me know in the comment section below, like what is your favorite episode of Squid Game, and what is your entire reaction of Squid Game, when you're first watching it, Do you guys like the ending, because I know that some people did not like the ending, I know we are getting season 2, but back in 2021, Hwang Dong-hyuk actually said that he doesn't have any plan for season 2, which is kind of weird because like the ending of the show hinted at season 2, so like, okay, that's kind of weird for him to say that, So yeah, are you guys actually liking the ending when you first saw it in 2021? So let me know all your opinions in the comment section below. Also, guys, tell me which one is your favorite episodes. Which is your favorite, which one is your favorite characters, and which one is your favorite game. So yeah. Mine is, I think, for me, it's gonna be like red light, green light, because I think that's like the first game, and it leaves like such a huge impression for me, But I also like the other game as well, especially like the Dalgona games, So I think that might be my second pick, So yeah, let me know your pick in the comment section below, guys, And yeah, that's my review for Squid Game, guys. If you guys enjoyed this review, then make sure, guys, play the subscribe and like button, guys, share the videos, the usual stuff, Stay tuned for the Squid Game season 2 review, guys, because it's gonna be releasing next week, which I cannot wait for that. Hopefully it will be as good as season 1, fingers crossed here, And yeah, once again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.